And rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rick Smooth, and we are here on the Pro Wrestling Archives YouTube channel, and this is back on the road. I got a couple guests with me today. I got Mike Dalton with me, riding in the back, and we got Alan Fenstermaker driving. I'll be riding shotgun all night long. Here is Mike Dalton. Mike, what do you think about AEW?
First of all, I'm going to say the product that they have is very, very impressive. High caliber talent. Like you would not believe, man. I felt like it was reminiscent of WCW Monday Nitro, and let me tell you, I'm very, very highly impressed. And by the way, it's marvelous Mike Dalton.
Alan, what do you have to say about what's been going on with AEW, their first TV program?
I think AEW killed it, especially in their main event match. Chris Jericho going in as a champion again with Kenny Omega. It was kind of crazy. John Moxley put Kenny Omega through the glass table, and dude, I know John Moxley was Dean Ambrose back in WWE, and I could tell like AEW is like a new beginning for him because he's I could tell a difference in his character and all. He's being able to express himself and be more real with his character. That's what it's about.
You know, I have to agree with you on that, and something that I just want to say real quick. It's so nice to hear Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone calling matches together again.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, like, first off, they're two of the best commentators in the history of pro wrestling, and they have a certain thing together. You could tell, just like the old days of WCW, something real special going on with those guys. And Mike, I wanted to ask you, I know we were talking earlier about how they were doing more wrestling and less interviews. Tell me what you think about that.
First of all, I think that it's a smart idea not to have as many interviews because the fans get to see more wrestling and less talking. And that's what you want. You want to attract the fans' attention by giving them what they want. They're there to watch professional wrestling. Okay? Interviews are great. Promos are great. But when you're giving them more wrestling, it's like they say, how do you say it? You're giving them a bang for their buck. You know, you're giving them what they want. And I think that, like Alan was talking about, you know, like John Moxley, he started out in CZW in the independent scene as John Moxley way before WWE. And I think where they're going in the direction with Chris Jericho, and then you got the former LAX, now they're known as Power and Pride. And I think you're going to see, like, you know, maybe a great 10-man tag team matchup coming up. I mean, you got other great guys on there. I mean, you have guys like Shawn Spears, and you got legends making comebacks like Arn Anderson, the Enforcer, Tully Blanchard. I mean, everybody always, you know, puts down the legends, but if it wasn't for the legends, the new guys would never have a chance to break it in.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Mike. And, you know, just seeing some of those old NWA guys, and it really is. It really feels like old WCW, NWA. Something I just want to say right now, off the record, Dusty Rhodes is probably looking down, smiling right now on Cody and Dustin, and you could feel that in that opening match. I'm not gonna lie, I shed a tear when they were doing that first match with Cody. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie about that.
I know, like that match was pretty cool. Like Cody Rhodes is definitely going places and in AEW, and I could actually see him facing Chris Jericho for the belt. That would be pretty cool.
So let's get off of AEW for a second here. Let's talk about WWE. And, you know, I'm not really too into the whole, like, rivalry thing because I just think that it's good that all the wrestling fans are getting what they want, which is as much wrestling as possible. And there's so much going on in the wrestling world right now where I'm not going to do this WWE versus AEW bullshit. I'm just going to talk about pro wrestling, all right? I don't want nothing to do with the war. I just want to stay neutral and love pro wrestling. So, what do you think about what's going on with WWE, Mike?
Well, you know, I'm gonna take a little bit of time when I talk about WWE because when I was a kid growing up, you had professional wrestling at its finest. I mean, you had ringside interviews with Vince McMahon, who had the WWF insignia on his blazer, and you had real entertainment. The value of wrestling back then was so excitable it was like you had to tune in next week just to find out what was going on, you know, when it was called the Triple WF. Now, fast forward now to 2019, it's become what they call a soap opera-esque kind of like entertainment now, where it's like you got these crazy out-of-bounds storylines with all these new talent, and it's like, you know, half the guys are wanting to leave because I'm gonna do a straight-up shoot. I don't give a shit. Vince McMahon doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's like, he pissed in the alphabet soup and has caused a lot of chaos within the WWE. I mean, because he's making the workers do all these stupid storylines. I mean, if you go to YouTube, you can hear Jon Moxley shoot all over Vince McMahon. You can hear Chris Jericho talking about him for hours. I mean, there's a lot of guys that people got stabbed in the back by Vince McMahon. So the bottom line is, I think WWE's okay, but you know what? It could be better. You know? So that's all I gotta say about that stuff.
All right, now, Alan, what do you think about the WWE right now?
Well, dude, all I gotta say is that main event was pretty crazy tonight on SmackDown. You had Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston, and I would have never imagined that match would have ended as quickly as it did. That match was maybe like a minute. Brock just
not even one move.
Yeah, one move, just the F5.
3 seconds, you know?
Just the F5 and boom, 1, 2, 3. I was surprised.
Yeah.
The quickest title match ever in history, and especially the biggest surprise after that was Cain Velasquez from Brock's opponent back in the UFC. How he just came out and he just took it to Brock, and Brock retreated from that. I'd never seen that ever. That's what really got me excited about it too, because out of all the times Brock held the Universal title for the longest time, and then now he won the WWE title tonight. Now he's retreating from this guy Cain Velasquez. I would love to see a match between the two of them. That would be dope. I'd like to see it like a octagon style Iron Man match or something special.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. That was really interesting, and you know, it's nice to see somebody stick it to Brock Lesnar. I mean, you know, I get tired of seeing him winning and being on top for so long and whatever. Bring Sable back. You know what I mean? What the hell? So, okay, this is what I wanted to say now about WWE. All right. I know the last couple episodes I've been talking about them, but I've been giving them the victory and all this and all that. Like I said, I'm going to stay out of the war aspect of all this shit. But one thing I do want to say, though, is I have to agree with Mike about some of the storylines. And, well, how do I say this? The WWE has been in a hole for so long that I see Paul and Bischoff doing a great job of getting them out of the hole. But at the same time, the hole is deep. And, you know, whatever they're doing, I don't know if it's a training thing or if it's like a scripted interview thing. But whatever it is they're doing with all that shit, they got to stop doing that. You know what I mean? Because it's just not working. It's not believable. Like, the thing was, like, back in the day, when we had cats like Rick Rude running around or Jake Roberts, they made the matches so believable. And this is why they're legends, you know, and nobody can take that from them, is because when you get in the ring and you get in there, it's up to you to either make it look good, lay them in, or know the difference. And nowadays, it's like, it looks like people are afraid to punch each other and stuff like that. It doesn't even look like they're really connected anymore. And I understand the whole, you know, injury stuff, and everybody should be, you know, a lot more safe nowadays than what they were. You know, I get it. But we're still here to see a fucking fight. So we gotta see a fight. I mean, it's got to look believable and it's got to look real. And look, when I was a kid and we were watching all this stuff, you know, whether it was WWE, WCW, ECW, whatever it was, you got to understand how this stuff is in the schools growing up. When you're a kid growing up and, you know, you're seeing how all these guys are acting as adults, it's very important to understand that some of these guys are trailblazers for kids, not necessarily to go be violent and beat the shit out of people, but to know how to handle certain situations. And without some people's guidance in the entertainment world, some people would be just, up shit's creek with no paddle. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
You know what? I agree with you there. I mean, wrestling back in the day, if you go on to YouTube, whoever subscribes to this podcast, go to YouTube and look up 1950, 1960s professional wrestling. Guys used to be able to hit each other, and a lot of guys got taken out on stretchers, got taken to the hospital. But then all of a sudden, the promoters decided, you know what? We can't have that no more because too many guys were getting hurt. So now, let's teach these guys how to make pro wrestling rated PG. Which is sort of like, hit them, but don't really hit them. But I'm not going to let too many secrets out the bag because I happen to be in the business of professional wrestling. And that's why a lot of guys ain't getting hurt no more. Because, I wouldn't go in there if I was you. But, like I was saying, bottom line is like, right now, we're actually taking a tour right now, my part of Philly, South Philadelphia, and we just passed the legendary 2300 Arena, home of the famous ECW. Maybe we should talk about that soon. But anyway, now it's like everything is PG, and the fans are still eating it up like candy. If you fans really want to watch some professional wrestling, screw 2019, go back to 1987. I'm taking you on a time warp. Go watch some old NWA with the likes of Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff, the Rock and Roll Express. Watch USWA. Now that's real wrestling. Not wrestling, wrestling. That's spelled RASSLIN.
Nice, Mike. I love some of that old USWA stuff, man. And once again, always shout out to Miss Jacqueline. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So, Alan, now I want to talk to you about something, man. The 24/7 belt has been passed around more than a fucking, a hooker in fucking North Philly. So, what do you think about what's been going on with that, and what do you think they're even going for with all this? Where do you think this is all going to go? And imagine looking at this title history and seeing how much it's changed. You know what I mean? I mean, Alundra Blaze was the 24/7 champ at one time.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of cool because the other week, actually, Glenn Jacobs, who used to play the character of Kane, that's now the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, he actually won the 24/7 title. So I don't know if he's going by Kane when he did that, or if he was going by Glenn Jacobs as the mayor, but still, it's pretty dope that, to see someone like Kane winning the 24/7 title, and kind of reminds me back of a spinoff when Crash Holly won the hardcore title, and he made the hardcore title to be defended 24/7.
The late great Crash Holly.
Rest in peace.
That's a great person to think about. I haven't thought about him in a while, man. It's I've been going through this old PWI 500 from 1998, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the almanac, and I've been seeing so many names that I just haven't thought of in such a long time, and that's what I hope happens again with pro wrestling. I know there's a lot of guys out there, but when you think about those old school guys from the 80s and the 90s, a lot of them guys had such classic names. And I want to bring this up. You guys been seeing what's been going on with Buddy Murphy on SmackDown with Eric Bischoff?
I haven't really caught much of it lately, but I'll tell you one thing right now. Buddy Murphy is an extremely talented wrestler, and he's got the juice, man, and he's one of the guys I do like. I mean, let alone with, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, and the list goes on and on to the break of dawn. But, Buddy Murphy, he's an up-and-coming star, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him.
You brought up the feed, and, remember, we're not in a car, we're actually on a steamboat, all right? So, what I was gonna say though is like the Fiend Bray Wyatt, like man, what a transformation! You know, what an amazing possibility that they have with this guy. I mean, it almost reminds me of Sting in the sense where it's like this guy. He could do it the way he's been doing it, or he could do it in a whole nother way as a face or whatever. And it could really go so many different ways. And you know what? Maybe that's what the world needs is one of those anti-superheroes. Or as of right now, I mean, he's just a straight up fucking evil asshole. But you know, he was reminding me actually almost of the Predator from that '87 Schwarzenegger movie with that laugh that he has. You know what I mean? What do you think about him, Mike?
Well, I think he kind of reminds me of a, he kind of reminds me of Kevin Sullivan, but like in a different formation, you know, and he's got this, what is it called, Yowie Wowie, and I don't even know what the hell that means, but the kids love it, the fans love it. I mean, his mask is great, and it was done by a great makeup artist by the name of, his name was Tom Savini. And if you don't know who Tom Savini is, you should be ashamed of yourself. He was in the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. You know, for anybody who didn't know. And if you don't know who Tom Savini is, look him up on YouTube. He's worked alongside Rick Baker also. He's also a makeup artist, and he also does prosthetic makeup and masks and stuff. So there you go.
Cool. Now, Alan, I know you're from the great wrestling city of Philadelphia, and I just want to ask you, man, like, how do you think Paul Heyman has been doing since he's been back? What have you noticed in the change of the WWE product?
Paul Heyman's definitely been delivering it. Like I saw on the first night that after he took control, I saw Braun Strowman got speared right through the Titantron. And that was like, wow, that was almost like old school Attitude Era, in your face action. Like I haven't seen that in a long time, and like it was kind of cool too because it was funny how we were just down by the 2300 Arena. Not too long ago, Paul Heyman was over there at the 2300 Arena, and he made that whole speech about evolve and how like the wrestling business needs to evolve with the times, and that's what I think it's doing. Like I think the wrestling business is it's seen what's going on. It needs to change, so it's evolving. And it was kind of funny because the promotion that Paul Heyman was with there was Evolve Wrestling.
I tell you what, that guy we just drove by out there, man, looks like he should have been in the ring, man. That dude was about 6'8" and mean and fucking hood. So
I think he's one of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, he might have been, man. He was tall enough, man, to be honest with you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we could talk about this stuff for hours, but we don't want to do one of these really long, drawn-out podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being with us tonight. We are tuning out. This is Rick Smooth from Back on the Road. Alan Fenstermaker.
Hey, what's up? Back on the road.
Back on the road, Marvelous Mike Dalton, baby.
Remember where you heard it from, Pro Wrestling Archives.
Peace.